국민 여러분, 300일 후 소행성 디나가 지구와 충돌한 나사의 발표처럼 불행하게도 한반도가 피해 지역이 맞습니다.
애들 단속 잘해야겠다.
Imagine waking up one morning and learning that the world has an expiration date. Not metaphorically, not as a philosophical idea, but as a confirmed scientific reality. An asteroid is on a collision course with Earth, and the timeline is brutally clear. 200 days remain before impact. No miracle technology, no last-minute rescue mission, no hidden solution waiting to be revealed. Humanity has counted the days, calculated the trajectory, and accepted the truth. This is the premise that drives the story of Goodbye Earth, a series that explores not only the end of the world, but the emotional, social, and moral unraveling that happens when people know their future has already been decided. Instead of focusing on explosions or global disaster spectacle, the story turns its gaze toward the quiet and deeply human moments that unfold in the shadow of extinction. What does society look like when tomorrow is guaranteed to disappear? What choices do people make when the countdown becomes part of everyday life? At the center of the story is a former middle school teacher named Jin Se-kyung, a woman who once lived an ordinary life, guiding students through the challenges of adolescence. When the asteroid announcement shakes the world, her path changes dramatically. Schools close, governments begin emergency responses, and the stability of daily life starts to dissolve. Yet Se-kyung refuses to give in to despair. Instead, she dedicates herself to protecting and caring for the children left in her community. Many adults are paralyzed by fear. Some abandon responsibility, and others try to escape the inevitable through denial or reckless living. Se-kyung chooses a different path. She believes that even if the world is ending, humanity should not abandon its sense of compassion or responsibility. The children still need someone to guide them, comfort them, and help them understand what is happening. Her determination becomes a central emotional anchor of the story. While the world spirals into uncertainty, Se-kyung focuses on preserving the dignity of everyday life for as long as possible. The story repeatedly asks a difficult question through her character. If the future is gone, does the present still matter? For her, the answer is yes. Even if time is limited, kindness still matters. Community still matters. The way people treat each other in their final days may define what humanity truly is. Around her, society begins to fracture in complicated ways. Some governments attempt to maintain order, but maintaining control over billions of people who know the end is near becomes nearly impossible. Economies collapse as long-term planning loses meaning. Jobs disappear, businesses close, and the concept of saving for the future becomes meaningless. Some people decide to live recklessly, pursuing pleasure and indulgence without concern for consequences. Others withdraw entirely, isolating themselves as they struggle to process the reality of extinction. Religion and spirituality surge in unexpected ways. Some individuals turn toward faith, searching for meaning beyond the physical end of the planet. Religious gatherings become larger, emotional, and sometimes chaotic as people seek answers to questions no one can truly answer. Different belief systems offer different interpretations of the approaching catastrophe. For some, the asteroid becomes a symbol of divine judgment. For others, it is simply a tragic cosmic accident. The story presents these reactions without offering easy conclusions, allowing viewers to see how humanity responds when confronted with the ultimate existential crisis. While some characters look inward, others focus on relationships they once took for granted. Families reconnect, estranged friends attempt reconciliation, romantic relationships evolve under the pressure of limited time. The knowledge that every moment counts forces people to confront truths they once avoided. Confessions are made, regrets are addressed, and unspoken feelings finally surface. The approaching asteroid becomes a strange kind of catalyst, pushing people to live more honestly than they ever have. Among the people connected to Se-kyung is her fiancé, Yoon-sang, a researcher who works in biotechnology. Unlike Se-kyung's emotional approach to the crisis, Yoon-sang represents a more scientific and analytical perspective. He spends much of his time grappling with the scientific realities of the asteroid and the broader implications for humanity. Even though the global scientific community has largely accepted that the impact cannot be stopped, researchers like him continue searching for answers, solutions, or at least a deeper understanding of what lies ahead. His struggle highlights another dimension of the story, the tension between accepting fate and fighting against it. Their relationship reflects the emotional complexity of living with a countdown. Love becomes both more precious and more painful. Every shared moment carries the weight of knowing it cannot last. Their conversations often drift between hope and resignation, between planning for tomorrow and acknowledging that tomorrow may never arrive. Through them, the story explores how love survives in the face of unavoidable tragedy. Another important presence in the narrative is Sung-jae, a priest who becomes a spiritual support for many people in the community. As society destabilizes, places of worship become refuges for those seeking comfort and understanding. Sung-jae listens to confessions not only of traditional sins, but of fears, regrets, and unresolved emotions. People come to him with questions about life, death, forgiveness, and meaning. His role is not to provide certainty, but to offer compassion. In a world where answers are scarce, sometimes simply listening becomes the most important act of all. The series also examines the darker side of human nature. As hope fades, some individuals exploit the chaos for personal gain. Crime increases in many places as law enforcement systems struggle to function. Black markets emerge, selling everything from luxury goods to questionable survival plans. Certain groups claim they can offer escape or protection from the asteroid, manipulating desperate people who are willing to believe anything that promises survival. These elements reveal how fear can drive people toward both generosity and cruelty. Despite the looming catastrophe, the story never becomes purely bleak. Moments of humor, tenderness, and quiet beauty appear throughout the narrative. Children continue to play games, neighbors share meals together. People gather to watch sunsets, aware that each one could be among the last. These scenes create a powerful contrast with the larger disaster narrative. The end of the world does not erase ordinary human experiences. In many ways, it intensifies them. As the days tick down, society attempts various coping mechanisms. Some cities organize festivals or public events designed to celebrate life rather than mourn its end. Music, art, and storytelling become important outlets for emotion. Artists create works meant to capture the spirit of humanity before it disappears. These expressions are both celebrations and farewells, attempts to leave behind something meaningful, even if no one will be there to witness it after the asteroid arrives. Meanwhile, governments around the world attempt to coordinate responses, but international cooperation becomes increasingly fragile. With no future to negotiate over, alliances shift and political tensions sometimes escalate. Some leaders focus on maintaining order and protecting civilians for as long as possible. Others become more authoritarian, believing strict control is the only way to prevent total societal collapse. The show presents these dynamics as part of the broader human response to existential crisis. One of the most powerful aspects of the story is the way it portrays time. The countdown of 200 days hangs over every decision. Early in the narrative, that number seems distant enough to allow hope and adjustment. But as the days steadily decrease, the psychological pressure intensifies. Characters begin to measure their lives not in years or months, but in remaining days. Birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays take on new meanings because they may be the last ones anyone will ever celebrate. Se-kyung's work with the children becomes increasingly important during this period. Many of them struggle to understand the concept of the world ending. Some react with fear, others with confusion, and a few with surprising acceptance. She tries to create a sense of normalcy for them, organizing activities and conversations that help them process their emotions. Her goal is not to hide the truth, but to help them face it with courage and compassion. Through these interactions, the series explores how innocence and resilience can coexist even in the darkest circumstances. The community around her gradually forms a kind of support network. People who might never have interacted in normal circumstances begin helping each other. Shared meals, group discussions, and collective activities become essential forms of emotional survival. These moments suggest that while humanity may not be able to prevent the end, it can still choose how to face it. At the same time, the story continually returns to the global scale of the disaster. News broadcasts and scientific updates remind everyone that the asteroid is still approaching, still unstoppable. The certainty of impact removes the possibility of a traditional heroic solution. Instead, the tension comes from watching how individuals respond as the timeline shrinks. Each character's choices reveal something about their values, fears, and hopes. Some people attempt ambitious personal goals in their remaining time. Writers rush to finish novels they once abandoned. Musicians perform final concerts. Travelers visit places they always dreamed of seeing. These efforts are not about survival, but about completion. The idea of leaving something unfinished becomes emotionally unbearable for many characters. Yet, the series never presents these actions as simple or purely inspirational. For every person chasing a dream, another struggles just to get through the day. Depression, anxiety, and grief are widespread reactions to the coming impact. Mental health becomes a silent crisis across the world. The story treats these struggles with sensitivity, showing how different people cope with the same reality in very different ways. The relationship between Se-kyung and Yoon-sang also evolves as the days pass. Their love story is shaped by the tension between acceptance and resistance. Yoon-sang's scientific mindset keeps him searching for possibilities even when logic suggests there are none. Se-kyung, on the other hand, focuses on the present moment, believing that the best way to honor life is to live it fully until the very end. Their perspectives sometimes clash, but they also complement each other, reflecting two fundamental human responses to catastrophe: the urge to solve the problem and the need to make peace with it. As the countdown enters its final phase, the emotional atmosphere grows heavier. The remaining days become a shared awareness across the planet. Media coverage intensifies, religious gatherings become larger, and personal relationships reach emotional turning points. People begin saying goodbye in ways both dramatic and subtle. Some leave letters for loved ones. Others simply spend quiet time together, knowing words may no longer be necessary. The series carefully builds toward a profound reflection on what it means to be human. When stripped of the illusion of an endless future, the core values of compassion, love, responsibility, and connection become more visible than ever. The approaching asteroid serves as a reminder that human civilization is fragile, but the emotions and relationships that define it are remarkably resilient. In the end, the story of Goodbye Earth is not really about the asteroid at all. The asteroid is simply the catalyst that forces humanity to confront itself. It reveals the best and worst aspects of society, from selfishness and fear to bravery and kindness. By focusing on ordinary people rather than grand heroes, the narrative emphasizes that the true story of the end of the world would not be told through battles in space, but through the countless personal decisions made on Earth. Through characters like Se-kyung, Yoon-sang, and Sung-jae, the series invites viewers to imagine how they might live if they knew time was limited. Would they chase dreams they once postponed, repair broken relationships, devote themselves to helping others, or retreat into fear and denial? These questions linger long after the story unfolds. Ultimately, the series becomes a meditation on the value of time itself. When time appears endless, people often treat it casually, postponing meaningful choices for another day. But when the clock is visible and ticking down, every moment gains weight. Conversations become deeper, actions become more intentional, and even simple experiences, sharing food, watching the sky, laughing with friends, become profound. By exploring the final 200 days of a doomed world, Goodbye Earth transforms an apocalyptic premise into something deeply introspective and emotional. It reminds us that the end of the world, if it ever comes, would not only be a story of destruction, but also a story of humanity's final attempts to define itself. In the shadow of extinction, people would still love, still hope, still argue, still dream, and still search for meaning. And perhaps that is the most powerful message of all. Even when the future disappears, the human spirit continues to look for reasons to care about the present. In a universe capable of producing catastrophic asteroids and fragile planets, the small acts of compassion between people may be the most extraordinary thing of all.